Hello everybody, it is Friday, the 3rd of April. It is Good Friday, and I think this is probably the best day to make this video. I want to talk about transforming humanity on the way of the cross, to become transhuman, not through technical implants or stuff like nothing material, but becoming transhuman on the way of the spirit. To become something that we are not, that is not our truth. We are being created on the way of the spirit. I tell you right now, technology is a diversion. It is something that catches your attention, that is not where the transformation is actually worked. And this transformation has been worked on us for 2,000 years. I think we're coming to the point of where it actually becomes a reality. Yeah, it took them a long time to do it, but I think we're nearly there. Unless we wake up to the truth of what is happening to us. So the New Agers, let me harp on about the New Agers, going on about we are beautiful beings of light. Yes, we are. We have a higher self in another dimension. No, we don't. The higher self is a possibility that is contained within us, that is contained within the field still, but it has not reached the point of existence. It will become existing when it becomes you. When you make that higher truth your actual truth, when you become that. That is when your higher self comes into being and into existence. And we're trying to make ourselves into something. We have a higher idea, we've been given a higher ideal of something, that we must, a point that we must reach. That means a point that we must become to make that higher ideal a reality in this world. And then we must really, really look at what it is we are becoming, to see the truth, because we are doing it unconsciously. We must become conscious of what it is we're doing. Now, saying we are beings of energy. Yes, we are. Right here, right now. Not in another dimension, not up there in space. Here and now. We are that. That is our truth. We have unseen energies. We are guided by unseen energies. Yeah, but they are part of ourselves. They are part of who we are on another level. That level exists already. It's been there all the time. Again, we were not conscious of it. And we sure as hell do not understand it. We do not understand ourselves beyond the physical. And it is time that we got an understanding of ourselves so we know what it is we're doing. And I'm not basing this on nothing. I'm not plugging this out of thin air. You see this, we are higher beings in another dimension thing. There is no evidence. They cannot show, they cannot point to anything. You must believe. I'm not telling you believe, I'm telling you the truth and what it works in this world. You can see the evidence. Yeah? And I'm basing it on that. I have experienced it myself. I've had the experience. I've seen the experience in others. So I can point to something solid as proof, a solid outcome of the spiritual workings. Because that's what the spirit does. It creates realities, solid realities. So let's see what it is we're creating on the way of the cross. Now, if we talk about energies, we are beings of energy. The unseen forces, yeah, that are within us. It's our feelings, it's our thoughts, it's our emotions. And I want to really talk about guilt today, because that is an unseen force. That is an unseen energy that is part of you. You do not see guilt, you cannot see guilt, but it definitely moves you. Yeah, it is a force that moves you. So when should you feel guilt? Or what is guilt? Part of your light. That is part of your light. It is it's a bringer of knowledge, and it is a guide. It shows you you've done something wrong. It brings to you the knowledge that you have done something wrong. That is guilt. The knowledge that you have done something wrong brought to you by an unseen energy. So, and true human, the correct way, you should feel guilt if you've hurt something else, another living thing, another consciousness. Then you should feel guilt. And that is true, and that is good. You should. You should absolutely feel that. It is a bringer of truth. You've done something wrong. And you should act on it. You should act on it in that you, with the desire to repair what you have just destroyed or hurt, to repair the situation. And that is good, and that is truth. And that guilt, although a lower vibration, is light, the bringer of truth. So that is the correct understanding of guilt when you are a human being. So let me come again to the higher self, and I want to come to the cross right now. Again, the higher self is an ideal that does not yet exist, but something that you are striving toward. Yeah? You are becoming that. You want to become that. You feel bad about yourself if you're not that higher ideal, the higher self. And what is being taught to us in the New Testament is the image of a higher self, something that we should strive to become like Jesus. Go the way of the cross. Then what is that higher ideal? It is the sacrificial lamb. That is what many have put themselves as their goal. The highest ideal, the greatest a human being can become, is the sacrificial lamb. Think about that. And we are striving toward it. We're striving toward to make that a reality within ourselves. Unconsciously. Many are doing it unconsciously, although the teaching is all around us. The word that sinks in all the time, the seed, the idea. It's all around us all the time. It is around, obviously, in the Christian teaching. It is there in the New Ages. If you are your higher self, if you are this ideal being, you are a being of love and compassion only. Nothing else, which is obviously not the totality of your truth. You're not that. But you must reach that point, because that is the ideal human. And here's what happens to our guides, to our energies, to our energy body. Because your energies will serve your intention. They will serve whatever it is you are, without judgment. If you think you should be the sacrificial lamb, your energies will serve that intention. And they will guide you toward becoming that. And here's understanding, I am a beautiful being of light and energy. Yeah, understand what that actually is, what it actually does. Because it's a reality. It's not something flimsy and fluffy out in another dimension. It is here and now. The truth is within you and all around you. It's not somewhere else. So the guides will serve your intention of what it is you want to become. They will help you evolving into that new idea, becoming it. So, and it is really the idea of the servant, the loving servant, the giving servant that does not judge. That, and now comes guilt. That means you will feel guilt if you are not doing that. Because not serving, not giving indiscriminately, not giving of yourself all the time becomes wrong, according to the new higher idea. And then your guides will act according to that. So if you do not give, you will feel guilt. And that is the wrong kind of guilt. That is not guilt according to the truth of I am. You are becoming something else. You're shifting. You're transforming. You are evolving into a sacrificial lamb. So we're now coming to the point of, and here's again, why is this put to us as the greatest ideal? Why should we become that beautiful of being of light that will self-sacrifice? Again, it is polarity. The sacrificial lamb is on one side of the polarity, and what is on the other? The one that receives. You are the giver, and on the other end of the polarity is that which receives. Everything. Your whole. Everything you can give. It sucks you dry. And here we're coming again to the idiotic point where you will feel guilt because you're not allowing that to happen. If the sacrificial lamb becomes your higher self, your greatest ideal, then you will feel guilt because you are not sacrificing yourself. Say it. That is not our truth. That was never our truth. But you're becoming that. You've been sold that as the greatest point that you can reach. And you're striving toward it. And your entire energy body is serving you to get there until you yourself is changing direction. And your energy body will change direction with you. It will. It will be confused for a while, dare say, but it will change direction with you at some point, and you need to change direction. We need to change direction. Because what that highest ideal that is sold to us is a being that has absolutely no sense of self-worth, actually no sense of self, and absolutely no sense of self-preservation. That is what we are becoming. And that is being sold to you as a being of beautiful light. It's an idiot. It's a victim. It's a willing victim. Somebody that will sacrifice itself joyfully. That is what you're becoming. Again, when in the act of sacrifice, your energies, your energy body will tell you, well, that is good. Yeah? You're getting hurt and you're becoming increasingly joyful. Something is sucking you dry and you're becoming increasingly joyful about that happening. I mean, it is not your guides that are confused. Your guides are doing according to yourself. It is yourself that is confused. The guides are just serving you in your confusion. The idea of self, the need for self-preservation, is the truth that we are born with as human beings. A baby knows the need for self-preservation. They know it from the moment they come out. They know that truth. That's why they scream their head off. Feed me. For a while, this sense of self, just self, stays with us until about our terrible twos, where it really reaches its height. Yeah? My will must be done. I want. And if I don't get, my wrath shall come upon you. That's what we do when we're in our terrible twos. And then really look at the God of the Bible. I would say it is a consciousness on the state of a toddler. But we are more than that. We are on a far higher level of consciousness than that. Because once we get out of the state of toddler, we start becoming aware of the others around us and of the feelings of others around us, and we're becoming aware of the reactions that we are causing with our behavior. And we're becoming aware of a web. Call that society, or just human connections, family, friends. Yeah? We are a part of that web. And we're becoming aware that our best interest, the best interest, what will serve our survival best, is to be a part of that web, which is again a truth. That our own survival is depending on the survival of the web. That is what we're becoming aware of when we start socializing. And then we come to a point of not just receiving, but giving and receiving. Which means some restrictions to our own desires, obviously. We're becoming aware of don't do to others what you don't want done to yourself. We're becoming aware of love your neighbor as yourself. We're becoming aware of don't do harm. Because if you do harm, it will have consequences for yourself. So do no harm is actually another part of self-preservation in the end. We're becoming aware of all those things. And we're becoming a part of the web. Giving and receiving. But if you then go further than that and say giving is the only truth, yeah, and that is the light. No, the light is the web. The light is the balance between everything. That is the truth. That is a state of complete light. And when you go to the point of self-sacrifice, of giving only, you are actually going back into darkness. Too much of a good thing can be a bad thing. In fact, is a bad thing. Too much of anything becomes a bad thing, becomes something that kills you. Food, too much food will kill you. Drink, too much drink will kill you. To some point, it is good. Food is good. Drink is good. Even alcohol can be good, beneficial to a certain extent. You go beyond that, and it will kill you. Because you have actually left the light. You've gone back into darkness. You've shot past the point. You are in sin. You have missed the mark. And Jesus, on the way of the cross, of the sacrificial lamb, of the way of self-sacrifice, has absolutely, totally missed the mark of life, of existence. Completely missed it. He was in sin. But again, that is what has been sold to you, is what you should be. That is the higher truth. No, that is not the higher truth. But as I said, people talk about the Bible and they're saying, oh, it's religion, it is, what does David Icke say at the moment? It is an instrument of control, something by which they control you. Yes, it is that. Absolutely it is that. But you really must see that what it does, how it controls you. And that is really knowledge of yourself as an energy being. The knowledge of your greater self, of your extended self. How it works on those energies. And that it can go a lot further than just controlling you. It can create you. You can become that. And this is where we're becoming transhuman, no longer human, because the sacrificial lamb is not human truth. We are going beyond human truth. And in that we're going into sin. We're missing the mark of what it means to be human. We're following Jesus into sin. And here, that is actually the point. They're not just trying to control you, they're trying to create you. They're trying to create a new world order. But in order for that world order to exist, the beings that can function in that order need to exist first. Yeah, and as long as we are human, and we still have some sense of self-preservation, some sense of wrong and right, some sense of self, our self will work against that. Yeah? We are, what does it say? Stiff-necked people that go against the will of God. Yeah, long may it last. Long may we stay in that truth. Because we are that. Yeah? We are going against the truth of God that wants us to be a sacrificial lamb. Yeah, and we should. We absolutely should. And we should not feel guilty for not destroying ourselves in service to whatever's out there. We should not feel guilty for not allowing ourselves to be destroyed. That's wrong. That is totally wrong. And again, how do we get out of that? Out of this vision of the perfect human being, which is a nightmare. It really is a nightmare. How do we get out of that? And that is by disconnecting, by seeing what our truth actually is, what it should be, to see that we are in this web and that we should function correctly in that web of giving and receiving. If something hurts us, if something continuously demands of us to the point of self-sacrifice, we need to learn how to say no. Out of an act of self-preservation, we must learn how to say no. We have a right to say no. That is not sinful. That is our truth and our right to say no. Again, unconsciously, I think we do that. And if most people that are still of sound mind will do that. If something continuously hurts you, at some point you sever the connection. You withdraw your energies. Yeah? So they are severed from the web, from your web anyway. That is saying no. That is withdrawing your energy. That is severing the connection. We must sever the connection to that God. That biblical God. We absolutely must sever that connection. Instead of going there. So we do it. Again, and that is an energetic thing that we are doing we're doing it unconsciously. We must be aware of what it is we are and what it is we're doing, of what it is we're becoming. And here's the last thing, and that is whatever is happening on the energetic level will create a material reality. Again, they are creating a new world order. They're creating beings that can function as the slaves in that order. But they're creating us on an energetic level, on the level of thought and emotion. The outcome will be material, because that is what it creates. So we sever the connection, that is the energetic part of it, and quite often, and that creates a distance. You're distancing yourself energetically. You're untangling yourself and distancing yourself energetically. That is what you're doing. That's what you should do. But that also creates a material reality. And I just wanted to throw this in here. It's a bit beside the point, but it's interesting. Because the newest trip that David Icke is on is that space does not exist. That space is an illusion. And it is not. It is a material manifestation of an energetic truth. And it is real, it is as much real as the energetic reality that is creating it. So when we energetically disconnect from another being, we also quite often create a physical distance. That means we are avoiding the spaces that being is in. And as I said, it is space, as we see it, is only the depiction of an energetic truth. It exists as much as the energetic truth exists. That is what space is. And it exists, yes. And here is the last thing, and that is our desire. Because in the Bible, we are bringing heaven to earth. New Jerusalem is becoming a reality in this world. We are energetically drawing on it. We're making ourselves ready to be compatible with that new reality of the ruler and us as the sacrificial lambs. And I really think that in making ourselves ready, we are creating that reality. It will become a solid reality. That is not a metaphor for anything. That is the workings of the Spirit creating realities. That reality is coming closer and closer and closer until it will manifest. It is not part of this world yet. But if we keep going on the way that we're going, it will come. Or heaven will come to earth. And the only way of preventing it is by disconnecting our energy. Stop drawing on it. Stop making yourself ready. Stop preparing yourself. Stop becoming this higher ideal in this new world order where you are the sacrificial lamb and the slave. Stop making yourself into that. Stop feeling guilt because you are not serving that which is destroying you. Walk away. I mean, really walk away from the whole thing. Become true human again. And true human is not a sacrificial lamb. True human does not exist in a hierarchy system. True human exists in the web of life, is a part of it, gives and receives, has a sense of self and self-preservation, does know that the web itself is in its own best interest, yes. So again, you need to restrict yourself, your own desires, with consideration to the entire web, but not to the point of self-sacrifice. That is true human. And then the way we feel about things, whether we feel fear because there's danger, whether we feel guilt because we've done something wrong, should be according to our truth. No, I mean, it always is according to our truth, but we must be the truth for our servants to work correctly. And as I said, there might be a greater, something we are not quite aware of yet, because we are creating realities with our energies. And this reality of New Jerusalem coming to earth might be something that we are creating. We are the gate. We are creating that. We are making it possible by becoming the sacrificial lamb. So there might be more to that than we even know right now. I say it is a possibility, but even if that is a possibility, we shouldn't go there. We really should not go there. So, yes, instead of running around saying we're fluttering beings of light and energy, we must come to the true meaning of those words. Because it is truth. But we must see the true meaning of those words and what it is. And if, what are we actually doing? Being beings of energy. God is creating man. Yes, that is a truth. What does it actually mean? It is a truth. We are being created. We've been made into something that is not human. We're transcending humanity to becoming food for something else, which is not our truth. God creates by the word. Yes, absolutely. That is truth. See the meaning of it. See and how powerful that bloody word actually is. See the true power and see your own power. Say no, disconnect, and don't feel guilty about it. Save yourself. Save yourself by being your truth. All of those things we must understand and not just going around. You are fluttering beings of light, and that is a instrument of control. That is truth, but it is on a very, very low level of understanding. On a very low level of understanding. You understand next to nothing. You know the truth instinctively, but you're not going any further. And we must go further in understanding what it is we are, what it is we're doing, and what it is we're in. We need to know that to save ourselves. Anyway, folks, here, I leave it at that for today. And I talk to you again soon. Bye.